Giving all praises, honor, and glory unto the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Makakodash, the will and see the apostles and the elders that surely do rule by that great millstone. Peace and salutation to the sincere brethren out there pushing his gospel in sincerity and truth. Say shalom to the humble and sincere sister out there as well. Brother Kalam, James at camp, just going to bring out this lesson entitled A Leader of the Blind, question mark. Being in this truth is understood not to be just a hearer of the law, but a doer also. Practice what you preach, right? Live by the things that you say. Be a man of your word, These words are the words of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. The knowledge, His wisdom, understanding, these laws, statutes, and commandments were all from the Most High, right? And the Lord gave us the ability to speak these things into this world, and we need to follow the things that we speak, right? We need to practice what we preach. If you tell a man not to do something, not to eat pork, then you can't be eating pork yourself, because you make yourself a hypocrite. And you look at these Christian pastors, they are the perfect example of what a hypocrite is. You understand? Because they teach their congregation not to commit adultery, not to commit idolatry, not to steal, not to murder, right? Be fornicators and all these things. Yet they do these things in closed doors, behind closed doors, right? They say not to commit adultery, yet they have sex with the brothers' wives. They say not to commit idolatry, yet they have the people worshiping Jesus, right? And Jehovah. They say not to be fornicators, yet they're having sex with little boys. They say not to steal, yet they take all the tithes money, and instead of using it within the ministry, maybe to repair the church, or to, if somebody in the congregation needs the money, it will be there for them. They'll have access to it. They take the money for vanity. They buy things for themselves. They buy a luxurious car. They fix up their own house. They better their own living situation with the tithes money. And we know that Yahushua, He told them not to take anything, right, in exchange for this truth, right? No money, nothing like that, because this is not, as the scriptures say in Revelation. That would be 6. Revelation 6 verse 6. Right? And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. Right? So you had to pay for food, you had to pay for water, you had to pay for clothing, you had to pay to live, for your taxes and all these things, right? All these things will be subject to payments. But hurt not the oil, and hurt not the wine, hurt not this truth, right? These scriptures, you don't have to pay price on these scriptures, it's free, right? You could be walking on the side of the street and you're able to hear this truth. It is not something that is bought with money. The kingdom of heaven is not something to be bought. It is something to be given. Given to whom? The true worshippers of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Right? So it's not to practice what you preach. It's not to say something and you don't mean it. Right? Live by your own words. That way it is to be a man. To be a man is to keep your word. To be able to keep your word. Right? Like the Most High. Right? It's all you see. It all goes back to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, because we have our apostles and elders, but the true example of righteousness, right? If you wanna, the best example of righteousness is Yahushai. You understand? Is Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, because why? Keeping your word, right, is a form of righteousness. The Lord, and because why? It means that you're not a liar. You understand? You wouldn't be a liar if you keep your word. If you say you're gonna do something, or you make a promise and you keep that promise, that is something that is righteous. Keeping a promise is a righteous thing. And the Most High has always kept His promises. Always. You understand? So that is a righteous thing. And you look into the world, it is filled with covenant breakers. You understand? These pastors don't practice what they speak. They do it for money. Christianity is a business. It is a religion. And we know that some of these people are die hard in this religion. But at the end of the day, Christianity is a business. Watch how much money they make off of the movies. You understand? The little Christian movies and all these things, the stories of the Bible. If you want to look at it from that aspect, they make millions off of these things. It's a business. Right? You go in and you paying the pastor, you paying the preacher to hear the truth. You understand? Every time you go to church, they pass out the baskets and you have to put your money in it. And if you was to go back to them and ask them for assistance, they wouldn't be able to give it to you, because the money that you gave them, that's for their living. You understand? That's for their life. So you are paying them for how to pay. You paying them for a service. You understand? You paying them for a service. You paying them to preach to you. You understand? But in the book of Romans chapter 2 19, it say, and art confident that thou thyself art a guide of the blind, a light of them which are in darkness, an instructor of the foolish, a teacher of babes, which has the form of knowledge and of the truth in the law. Right? So one calls themselves a guide of the blind. Right? Prophets are guides of the blind. Right? They are lights. The scriptures talk about that. To be we are the children of the light. The elect are the children of the light. You understand? Light. They are the light that shineth in the darkness. Right? And the reason is because what is the light within them? The spirit of Yahushua. You understand? Shine it within the darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. You understand? So you claim these things, right? You are instructor of the foolish, you are a teacher of babes. Right? You are a master in the law. You are a master in the scriptures. Verse 21, it said, thou therefore which teachest another, teachest thou not thyself? Right? So a thought now came to me. That is where the balance comes in this truth, because it is very important to make videos and it is very important to go and preach on the streets, but it's also very important to receive. And that is the balance. You give and you receive. You can't just be giving out truth and you're not receiving anything within. You understand? You will run out if you really think about it. Right? If you have a cup of water and you constantly just throwing out water, but you ain't refilling the cup, eventually the cup will run empty. So you need to continue to watch brothers' videos, watch the apostles' videos, read the scriptures, study the scriptures, go back into your own notes. Or every brother have notebooks with scriptures written down and lessons, and go back into these books, right, and study and refresh your memory, right, understand, and continue to create that balance within things, right? So you making your videos and you pushing the word, but you also receiving the word as well. You understand? So if you teaching others, teach yourself as well. You understand? It said, verse 21, thou that preachest a man should not steal, does thou steal? Thou that says a man should not commit adultery, does thou commit adultery? Thou that abhorrest. You understand? So it's saying, you say not to commit adultery while you having sex with men's wives in the congregation. You that say not to steal, why are you taking the tithes money? You that say to abhor idols, why are you telling people to follow after Christmas and Easter and Valentine's Day and Mother's Day and Father's Day and Carnival and all these other holidays? Why are you allowing the people to indulge themselves in this filthiness? Why are you allowing them to eat all manner of unclean meat? Why are you not teaching them the right thing? And the reason is because you are not an instructor of the foolish. You are not a light in the darkness. You yourself are in the darkness. You are just a blind man leading blind followers. You understand? It's simple as that. Verse 23, thou that makest thy boast of the law, through breaking the law, dishonorest thou Yahweh? Because they say the law is done away with, but the scripture is saying here, by you saying, you making, through breaking the law, dishonorest thou Yahweh. Why is it saying that? Why is it talking about the law here? And that by breaking the law, you dishonor the Most High. And we know we have to strive to please Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. So what I tell you about the law is obviously how to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. You understand? So they say not to commit fornication, yet they have sex with the little children. You understand? They ravish little boys. And this is the nature of Christianity. This is the nature of them wicked ass Jews right now, having sex with little boys. You supposed to keep your word. If you preach, you understand, repentance, you yourself need to follow after that as well. If you preach for men to keep the law, statutes, and commandments, you yourself must strive as well. And it is simple as that. This topic doesn't need no breaking down to say you're going deep. You understand? It's very simple. Practice what you preach. You understand? And this is the things this is why videos and the works works can't save you. You understand? It's about your sincerity, about your faith. When you're making videos, you understand? Like we say you're making a video on adultery. Why would you make a video on adultery if you yourself is an adulterer? You understand? You committing adultery left, right, and center, yet you trying to make a video to tell other men to not do it. You're a hypocrite. You understand? In James chapter 1 verse 22 it say, but be ye doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. For if any be a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like unto a man beholding his natural face in a glass. For he beholdeth himself and goeth his way, and straightway forgetteth what manner of man he was. But whoso looketh into the perfect law of liberty, right, because this law brings freedom, and continueth therein, he being not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this man shall be blessed in his deed. You understand? So be not just hearers, but doers. To not be what? A forgetful hearer. What does it mean to not be a forgetful hearer? To practice what you heard. You understand, brothers? Right? You're watching videos. You learn. Let me say you learn something new. Let me say you learn that having sex with a woman while she on she period is unclean, right? Let me say you learn that. Or let me say you learn cooking on the Sabbath is a sin. Using fire on the Sabbath is a sin. No work shall be done therein, right? You learn these things. You learn that the wages of sin is death. And you learn that Yahushua is of life. So Yahushua is of the law, statutes, and commandments. You learn that the law was not done away with, and that you ought to keep these commandments to receive salvation. If you are just a hearer of the law, you would stand up there and you would feel good about this knowledge. Because a lot of people, a lot of so-called brothers and so-called men of the Lord would just sit behind screens watching videos, countless videos, all day, every day. And then when it comes time, and it's entertainment. It's come like it's entertainment. It's enjoyable to just hear the truth, right? It's enjoyable. But when it comes to practice what they learn, when it comes to apply the knowledge that they receive, a whole different story. They become forgetful hearers. When they read in Sirach chapter 2 verse 1, when they come into the truth, prepare thy soul for temptation and all these things. When affliction comes, when adversity comes, they forget that precept. When temptation comes, they forget not to commit adultery. They forget about not eating unclean meat. They forget about Yahushai. They forget about these scriptures. When men might be faced with death, they will completely forget about the faith and choose life, which is to choose death. You understand? Not to be a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work. So is that balance again. watching videos, reading the scriptures, right? Studying, receiving this information, you understand, and also releasing this information. You understand? Balance. You preach and you learn. You teach and you learn. You understand? And if you could go like that, in all faith, in all sincerity, bro, you setting up yourself for salvation. You setting up yourself for success. You understand that if you could really study every day and preach the word every day in faith, right? That one day Yahweh Hashem will reward you for your labor. I love you setting up yourself for success. You understand? Keep the cup full. Right? Think about it as that. The more you pour out is the more you put in. Right? So you're preaching the word, yes. Receive as well. But don't just receive, and then the cup overflowing. And you ain't pouring it out into nothing. You know, don't go and take this truth and hide it under the ground. You know, but when you receive 2, get 4. When you receive 4, get 8. And when you receive 5, bring 10. You understand? And recycle it. Recycle this truth. This way is not, this, you know, would make you a hypocrite. To where you preaching. You understand? But you ain't really following up. You ain't really believe. You just preaching. And you know, you studying. But yet you ain't want to go out there and preach. You ain't want to go out there and share this message. And by doing that, you accept certain parts of the scriptures and you deny others, because the scriptures say study to show thyself approved, rightly dividing the word, right? Being able to break down the scriptures. But it also says to preach the word, be instant in season and out of season. So you take the scriptures, you take the truth, all the knowledge that you receive by studying, and then you go out there and you preach it. You go out there and teach the people. You understand? And that is the balance of things. That is the balance. That is what Yahweh Hashem Yahushai wants. The book of Matthew, chapter 7 and verse 1, it says, "Judge not, that ye be not judged." And this is a Salakia. This is a scripture that is used by a lot of Christians out there. Judge not, that ye be not judged. You understand? And they use this to show, you know, that hey, we ain't supposed to judge anyone. We ain't supposed to cast judgment upon anyone, because we are all sinners. Right? Verse 2, it says, "For with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged, and with what measure ye meet, it shall be measured to you again. And why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but considerest not the beam that is in thine own eye? Or how wilt thou say to thy brother, Let me pull out the mote out of thine eye, and behold, the beam is in thine own eye? Thou hypocrite, first cast out the beam out of thine own eye, and then shalt thou see clearly to cast out the mote out of thy brother's eye." You understand? So that is what it was talking about. You judging, you casting out judgment. Hey, you're gonna get put to death, right? Ye adulterers and adulteresses, you shall be put to death. No, you know that unrighteousness shall not inherit the kingdom of Yahweh, right? And you casting out all this great judgment. But what you doing, you understand, is you putting yourself to death too. You understand? Because the same judgment you casting out, it fall on you as well. Because you said not to commit adultery, but you just committed adultery the day before. You committing adultery in this moment. You said not to smoke weed, yet you on the block smoking it out. You understand? And high out of your mind. And it said that in verse 2, "For with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged." You understand? So all this judgment you casting out, that is the same judgment that you will be judged with. Right? So what measure you cast out, right? What judgment you cast out, that is the same judgment gonna befall you. And why? It's history break it down. You can't seek to cast out the mote, right? You can't seek to cast out the uncleanness, the filthiness, the imperfection within our brother or sister without first casting it out of thine own self. If I want to tell a brother to make about videos, right? Let's say about videos. This brother ain't making videos, no 3 videos a week or nothing like that. This brother falling real short on his videos. And I decide, to tell him about it. Iron sharpened iron. Right? And I say, brother, you had to bring out videos. You had to preach your word, be instant in season, out of season. You had to be diligent. You had to preach this word. You had to spread this word. You had to work out your salvation, fear and trembling. These is things that we had to do to spread this word, to preach this word. You understand? To the 4 corners of the earth. This is what the prophets were set up to do. How is it that I could tell this brother all these things, yet I'm making a video once or twice a month or some kind of crazy scene like that? Right? It makes no sense. I can't seek to correct him when I myself doing the same thing. Right? Cast it or correct it within yourself. Right? Get to 3 videos a week. Get to 7 videos a week. Get to the works every week. Get consistent. Work on yourself. You understand? Right? Ask Yahweh Hashem Yoshai for that diligence, for that fire spirit, and get it done. And then, when you good, then you go to your brother. And the problem is, it's not a thing you'll be destroyed thing. A famous quote. It says, before going to call out another's faults, first examine ourselves, right? Or before going, if something pisses you off, before going to complain or to quarrel a point, of something that pisses you off, first examine yourself. Examine your own faults. Examine your own failures, your own weaknesses, and the thing that you was gonna say, or the thing that was pissing you off, would no longer have any effect on you. You understand? You know why? Because you would realize that we are in the flesh, and the same thing you're gonna punish him with, you realize that you made the same mistake as well, and you've fallen short as well. And this is what it means to grow in this truth. You understand? This is what it means to love a brother and all these things, because what the scripture is talking about here, you see the scribes, the Pharisees, the ones that call themselves the masters of the law, all they were concerned about is telling the people who gonna get put to death, casting out all these burdens, all these judgments, even within the body, right? You had the Jews, right, trying to tell the Gentiles, the Israelite foreigners, to circumcise this, that, and calling out all these judgments that they themselves were failing to keep. You understand? So when you really go into judge, not that you be not judging, referring to everybody could do what they want, and you can't correct nobody, doesn't mean that. It's just simply referring to not be a hypocrite and to tread lightly. You understand? Not to just cast out some judgment and you in the same fault. You understand? Go to the book of Mark 7 and 6. Let's see what it says. I bring all this. They Mark chapter 7 verse 6. He answered and said unto them, well hath Isaiah prophesied of you hypocrites, as it is written, the people honor me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. You understand? Anybody could say Yahushua, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua thing. Anybody could, say that, but what are you doing behind closed doors? Do you really believe in the Most High? Do you really, believe in the promises? Do you really believe that this world gonna come to an end? Right? All the things that you're doing, do you believe you'll be rewarded for it? Understand? Do you believe in the things that you say and the things that you've learned? You understand? In the face of death, will you strive for the truth? Right? Will you denounce the name of your father in exchange for life, so-called life? You understand? Their hearts their minds is far away from the Most High. Not because you watching not because you watching videos means anything. That doesn't mean that you're gonna receive salvation. You understand? You need to be all rounded. You need to preach. You need to study. You need to pray. You need to fast. And all these works, as I always say, works, what we count as works, which is preaching on the streets, making videos, keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, praying, fasting, right? And all these things, showing brotherly love and all these things. All those things are just physical manifestations of the Spirit. You understand? So if you genuinely have faith from within, then you will do the works of Hashem Yahushai. Then you will make videos and you will show love, and it will be sincere. And when it's sincere, it will be true that you actually believe. Not as a hypocrite, doing it to please men. You understand? The 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 25. And every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we are incorruptible. I therefore so run, not as uncertainly, so fight I, not as one that beateth the air, but I keep under my body, and bring it into subjection, lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should become a castaway. So how is it that he's going to prevent from becoming a castaway? And a castaway is somebody that entered into this truth and then returned back onto the world. Somebody that put their hand to the plow and looked back and left the work. You understand? That is what a castaway is. But how is it he going to prevent that? By keeping his body under what? Under subjection. Keeping this flesh under subjection. That is how he going to prevent himself from falling out of this truth. By being a spiritual man and overcoming the flesh. You understand? So don't be a hypocrite. Right? Practice what you preach. Not just when you're feeling good, not just when you're happy, but especially in times when you're down. You understand? In times of adversity, in times of weakness, go even harder. You understand? And some of them feeling good, it's easy. It's easy to bring out a video, it's easy to sit down and study whatever the case is, but when you in a shaky predicament, you understand? When the Lord places you back in that furnace, deeper down in the furnace, all of a sudden, videos lacking, miss the works, study, you ain't studying as much, you ain't reading as much and all that, but we had to fight. We had to fight these demons, because these demons, that's what they were to do, They want you to stop, because they was created for that intent, to be the obstruction in your path. But you had to overcome them with what? With the blood of the Lamb. Right? So if you call yourself a prophet, if you call yourself a man of the Lord, if you believe that you are fighting to be of the elect, then do the things that the scriptures say. To be diligent, to preach the word, to study, to practice what you preach. You understand? Lest you become a castaway. And with that, I hope this lesson was edifying. Giving all praises and glory unto the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Akakodash, I say Shalom.